We'll call our meeting to order today. Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Approve the notice, Kim? Can you hear me? Okay, approve the notice, Tim. Thank you. Proof of quorum, we have all 7 board members here. We welcome Janice. Recent surgery. President's remarks. The main thing I want to stress today is that we do have another election coming up. And if you're checking your email, I think you will see that we have 2 candidate forums. One is this Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. And the next one will be, I believe, February 16th. Is that correct, Kim? At the same time, we'll have 2 resident forums. I think it's important that you try to get out and meet the candidates, hear what they've got to say about the various issues that will be posed to them by the Elections and Nominating Committee. I would also stress, too, that on the ballot, which you'll be receiving in the mail next month, there are also some changes to the documents and I believe to the bylaws. And those changes, particularly to the documents, take a very strong majority of the residents in order to pass them. We tried it last year and we're unsuccessful, not I think because of the vote, just because of the lack of total vote. So I would encourage you to vote, to encourage your neighbors and friends to vote as well, whatever your position might be. But please analyze the various things on the agenda and on the ballot, and please try to let's get a maximum vote. I have nothing further this time, so let me turn it over to our general manager.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't have much. We're waiting for the results. Kevin and I have seen the results for January. Kevin's going to do a report on a financial report, the treasurer's report. We have a few items that are going to be a reserve capital funding on construction, and I'll let Gary and Larry now go into that when it comes up on the agenda. I just want to say that I appreciate and I want to thank the RFP task group. Thank God we're at the end renewing the Valley Crest contract. I mean, it's been unbelievable. But I'd just like to thank the other 3 members of that task group. A lot of hard work was put in on that to make this a fair process.
Thank you. Kevin?
Yeah, thanks, Neil. I'll just do a brief summary of our financial results for the year. I'll walk you through. This is kind of a sort of a rudimentary income statement, but it captures the highlight of how the association performed for the past year. So if you look at it, this was our budget going into the year. If you notice, the revenue and the expenses equal each other, so it's called a balanced budget. And then over here is how we actually did, and over here is whether we did better or worse than budget. So if you notice in the revenue of the $4,142,000, we were under budget by about $23,000. And that came from golf and food and beverage. Okay? However, we made that up by only spending $3.8 million versus a budget of $4,165,000. So we spent $343,000 less than the budget. So what that means is the income or the surplus, the revenue in excess of expenses, however you want to define it, was $320,000. In essence, that means we took in $320,000 more than what we paid out. And so that resulted in being better than budget by $320,000 for the year. Okay. I'd like to point out, too, that this is the second year in a row we've had a significant surplus. Last year, for the year 2009, this number here was a little over $200,000. And again, because last year we had a balanced budget, it meant last year, when I say last year, I mean 2009, we were also $200,000 better than that. Okay. Now I'd like to show you our cash position at the end of the year and how it changed from the beginning of the year. So at the beginning of the year, we had 477, and let me back up a little bit to explain that. I'm going to go through an operating cash balance and a reserve. The next slide will be your reserve cash balance. And a lot of people ask me, well, what difference does it make? The association spending money, what difference does it make whether it comes out of the operating cash or the reserve cash? And you'll hear that discussion when we get into the capital spending. And the difference is that in the reserve fund, which we're not addressing yet, and you'll see that in the next slide, the reserve fund is only there to spend money on replacing or repairing existing assets. If we do anything new, the reserve fund can't fund that. It has to come out of this cash balance. So an example, I'll just give you an idea, and I'll try and simplify it. Let's assume that the association owned 10 golf carts, all right? The repair and the replacement of those 10 golf carts would come out of the reserve fund. If the decision was that we needed an 11th golf cart, it would have to be paid for out of this. So that's why there's a difference, and that's why we have to account for the two of them separately, okay? Anyway, getting back to, now this is the operating cash, where we had $477,000. If you recall in the previous screen, we had income of $320,000. That gets added to this cash balance, okay? Now here comes the capital expenditures. This is the money that we paid on all the new stuff, the new bar, the expansion of the fitness center, not the old fitness center, but when we expanded it, we had to pay for that out of this capital, okay? So if you notice for the year, we paid for the lion's share of all that spending out of the surplus for 2010, okay? There are some other minor changes. I won't get into the accounting of it, but you know, if we change accounts receivable and accounts payable, that affects this cash flow analysis. But to make a long story short, so at the end of the year, we wound up with $442,000 worth of cash. That's our cash balance at the end of December 2010. Okay, so we're in pretty good shape from a cash point of view. Now on the reserve side, there we go. Okay, so let me run you through how the reserve balance changes from one year to the next. So in the beginning of the year, we had $1.8 million in reserve cash, okay? The assessments of your $175, $30 of that goes into this fund, okay? And that $506,000 represents $30 per home per month, okay? Then we have interest on that money of about $28,000. And then this year we spent $1.1 million, and that's all the renovations that you see that have taken place and are still going on, quite honestly. So anyways, you subtract that from all of this, and we wind up with a balance of $1.2 million, okay? And like I say, later on, pretty soon actually, in the discussions, we're going to be talking about spending money out of both of these accounts, out of the operating cash account, which we saw in the previous screen, and out of this fund as well. Okay? That's it.
Thank you. We have a report from the Architectural Review Committee, Van.
The Architectural Review Committee has been working on a revised manual for most of the year, and we hit some snags. We were trying to get some updates on the Florida-friendly requirements, so that's what we're working on now. We've met with Chris Dewey from the county, and he gave us some little information on how we should handle it. The committee will be meeting this Thursday. We'll be going over it. Probably we won't get it done before the next board is seated, so it won't come for approval then. But what I suggest is, because there are so many things that have changed over the years, our manual may be somewhat behind the times. And maybe we should get someone who's really experienced in these areas to look it over for us. So we'll be talking about that too in the committee. But I want to apologize to everyone. I know everyone was looking forward to this new manual, but it's going to be a little bit late.
Thank you, Val. Next item, approval of minutes. Approved minutes from the December 15th, 2010 Board of Directors meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? discussion, additions, changes? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Approved minutes from the December 21st, 2010 Board of Directors meeting. Do I have a motion? Any discussion, changes? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. New business, item number 1, approved golf course and common areas maintenance contract. Yep.
Yeah. This, yeah. It might be a little bit too loud. The recommendation is that we go with the Valley Crest, and I'll give you a little background. We sent out a bid. We sent out bids, request for proposal to 5 companies. One company responded that they did not want to participate in the bid process. 4 companies responded to the request for proposal, and only really 1 company actually addressed all of the specifications and requirements of the proposal, and that company was Valley Crest. However, there was one company, one source, who came in with such a significantly low bid that we felt that we had to do our due diligence to satisfy ourselves that we were making sure we were matching comparable bids. And so we pursued with one source, got them to come back with more information. And as it turned out, once we got a final bid from both Valley Crest and one source, as it turned out that Valley Crest actually came in lower than one source by about $15,000. The Valley Crest bid, I'm going to round the number, is roughly $930,000, which is $80,000 less than the 2010 budget. So we'll have a savings, an annual savings of about $80,000. In addition, Valley Crest will also perform additional services, in essence at no charge, such as a curfew application for what they call nematode control, worm control. And so that additional service, we figured, probably amounts to about $40,000 to $50,000. And so even though they're going to do the additional services, the bid is still coming in $80,000 less than what we had in budget. Someone asked a question at the resident forum, how does that compare to the 2010 expense we had with Valley Crest? And it's probably lower than the bid, $930,000 is lower than the 2010 expenses by about $40,000. So we're saving not only versus last year, we're also saving versus the budget. In terms of, it's a 5-year contract, but both parties could exit the contract with a 90-day notice. The Valley Crest contract will go up based upon CPI, Consumer Price Index, which we felt that was comparable also to one source who was going to go up 2% per year in years 3 to 5, and they would be flat from years 1 to 2 with one source. So I guess I'd like to make a motion that the board approve the Valley Crest contract. I think with Tommy here, I think he should understand that I believe it was a win-win for both the association and Valley Crest. Although Valley Crest might be sort of making a little bit less money on us, maybe their margins are getting squeezed a little bit, but Valley Crest, I think, understands that they did acquire a business, they acquired our business for another 5 years. We're going to be spending money in the next 5 years on renovating the tees and the golf course and all that stuff. So I'm sure they'll be working out fine. It'll work out fine for Valley Crest as well. So having said all of that, I guess unless anyone has any questions, I would make a motion that we